The LA Lakers and the Denver Nuggets are getting ready to do battle in this year's NBA Western Conference Finals. This should be an extraordinary matchup between these two powerhouse teams, with all eyes set on the two-time most valuable player, Nikola Jokic, versus the elite defensive maestro, Anthony Davis. With much anticipation for the series, let's take a deep dive into the playoff history between these two teams. The first playoff matchup between these two franchises starts in 1979 as the 4th seed Nuggets, still fresh in the NBA after the merger from the ABA, were led by Hall of Fame shooting guard David Thompson, Dan Issel, and power forward Tom Boswell. The 5th seed Lakers were led by the core of Jamal Wilkes, Norm Nixon, and the captain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. This was a best of 3-game series in the first round of the playoffs. Game 1 starts in Denver as the Nuggets oust the Lakers 119-105. An underwhelming performance by Kareem in Game 1 would be enough fuel for the captain to lead the Lakers to the next 2 victories as LA would win the series. The next playoff series between these two is 6 years later in 1985. The Lakers, in the middle of what some would argue the greatest dynasty run in modern sports dubbed Showtime, are led by a trio of Hall of Famers, Earvin Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and James Worthy. The Nuggets were led by Hall of Famer Alex English and Calvin Nat. This would be a showdown in the Western Conference Finals. The first 2 games in LA would tie at 1 apiece, but the Nuggets would eventually get outclassed by LA, as the Lakers would win the series in 5 games and meet the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals. 2 seasons later, the Lakers and the Nuggets would meet again in the first round of the 1987 NBA playoffs. Not much to be said about this series, as LA would continue their dominance against Denver, sweeping Alex English and the Nuggets in only 3 games. Let's move forward to 21 years later to 2008, as it would take this amount of time for LA and Denver to face off again in the postseason. Once again in the first round, as the number 1 seeded Lakers, led by Kobe Bryant and Pau Gasol, would face the 8 seeded Nuggets, led by standout Carmelo Anthony and multiple-time All-Star Allen Iverson. On paper, this series would be seen as a knockdown dragout expected to go 7, but it was far from it. Kobe was in the midst of an MVP season, and with the addition of Pau, the Lakers were able to sweep the Nuggets in 4 games. 1 year later, the Nuggets were able to make tremendous improvements to their roster, trading away Iverson to the Detroit Pistons for All-Star point guard Chauncey Billups. Adding Billups gave the Nuggets a strong playmaking point guard and bolstering their defense. Carmelo Anthony also took a step forward in his overall game, specifically on the defensive end and his leadership. This could be accredited to his time with Team USA in the Summer Olympic Games alongside Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Jason Kidd. Anthony led the Nuggets to a showdown with the Lakers in the 2009 Western Conference Finals. The first 4 games in LA were nothing less than dramatic and competitive as Bryant and Anthony dueled it out, coming down to last-minute possessions, splitting the series 2-2. The experience of Kobe and the Lakers ultimately was the deciding factor, as the Lakers were able to close out the series in 6 games, on their way to winning the 2009 NBA Championship. The next playoff series between LA and Denver would take place 3 seasons later in the first round of the 2012 playoffs, as the 3-seed Lakers would face the 6-seed Nuggets. The Lakers, still led by future Hall of Famers Bryant and Gasol, and transcending young big man Andrew Bynum. The Nuggets, fresh off trading away Carmelo Anthony to the New York Knicks, were led by a group of hungry and active role players such as Ty Lawson, Kenneth Faried, and Danilo Gallinari. The Lakers were able to take control of this series 3-1, but due to the never-give-up play from the Denver Nuggets, Denver was able to force this series to 7 games. Interesting of note that Lakers small forward Metta World Peace was suspended through the first 6 games of this series because of an inadvertent elbow to Thunder guard James Harden a few games before the regular season came to a close. The returning world peace and the play of the Lakers' big men helped LA close it out in Game 7. It would take 8 years for the Lakers and the Nuggets to find themselves in a playoff battle once again, and oh boy, did things change in that time. The Lakers were now led by future Hall of Famers LeBron James and Anthony Davis. James was brought in by LA after a 7-year playoff drought to bring the Lakers back to relevancy. LA traded a haul to bring Davis to solidify LA as title contenders. On the other hand, Denver had found a diamond in the rough with their 2nd-round pick in the 2014 NBA draft, Nikola Jokic. The Serbian big man proved to be one of, if not the most skilled center in the league, along with surprising upstart Jamal Murray. They shocked the world by beating the odds-on favorite in the West, the LA Clippers, in the 2nd round, having a date with the LA Lakers in the Western Conference Finals once again. Although we've seen this matchup before, this would turn out to be a much different postseason for everyone involved. In March of 2020, the league would shut down indefinitely due to the coronavirus pandemic around the world. In August of that year, the NBA reconvened and determined that they would resume the rest of the regular season and playoffs inside a contained portion of Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida, with no fans allowed in attendance for games. Although a major difference in the atmosphere of these West Finals, the Lakers would continue their complete dominance against the Nuggets in the postseason, as LA would take the series in 5 games on their way to their 17th NBA championship. Most notable in this series would be Davis crushing the souls of Denver, hitting a game-winning 3 at the buzzer in Game 2. Notice a pattern here? LA's dominance against Denver is unmistakable. Can the number 1 seed Denver Nuggets finally be able to break the pattern here in these Western Conference Finals? This would be the first time Denver is projected to beat LA with the odds in their favor. Or can LA continue their run to Championship 18 and once again move past Denver? Let's see what happens.